This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems, no.
And we are live, SoundMinds.
Not to cut your wisdom words.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. Since we in I met Gates, right? Crazy. I'm not even gonna get into whatever school, whatever. I met him as a counselor, right, for an attendance program.
Right.
So it was during the time that everybody had to get to class, and I see a crowd just around. I'm like, oh man, these hallways are always full, man. Yo, get to class. Let's get to class.
Exclusive.
My little brother, yeah, this is exclusive, right? So my little brother sitting, and I didn't know him, never met him. I just hear some, as I'm getting closer, word rebel every time I trouble with. I'm like, yo.
Right.
And I'm thinking it's a fight because the crowd is so big. When I get there, this dude is spitting, right? And I'm like, oh, snap. Yo, how old is he to be doing this? So now I'm thinking, so when I find out his age, and, it's funny, I was trying to get everybody else to class, so I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
I said, yo, everybody, break this up. Let's get to class. Young man, let me see you in the office real quick. Let me speak to you real quick. Yo, how old are you, man? When I found out his age and we had a conversation, and it was just kind of like when I recognized his beyond year knowledge of who he was. So it makes sense that you say that, man, because truth of the matter is, and when Gates talks about, getting records from an 80-year-old, you know what I'm saying, which is a blessing, but being able to listen to Dizzy and to Miles and absorb that at his age. He's been like that since I can remember, man. So
yeah, and
this right here, this project, it only makes sense.
It made sense because me and him building so much, I'm like, because the thing is for me is doing a project and being around Gates. I'm not sure how familiar he was with my work at that time, right?
Right.
We got together doing projects, and then we got to build on tour. And then knowing that he respected that type of penning, I was like able to say, all right, well, he's not going to look at the way I write as it's old. He's not going to be looking at me like the old head or anything like that. He's looking at it like bars are bars because he writes bars. He's able to recognize, all genres. And that's what I think helped a lot. The fact that he has the recognition and respect of if it's hot, no matter age or anything, whatever. He's just bars are bars. You know what I'm saying? And that's very difficult sometimes with someone of his age and stature because sometimes they're so focused on whatever's current. Gates is current now. He's every genre. So every genre and generation. So I think that helps a lot tremendously,
I want to build on more about Gates because that's what we're talking about. And it kind of helps understand, who Gates is, you know what I mean? Like now, I want to ask, do you remember those times? Do you remember that time and that moment, and how old was you, and why were you, in a sense, that advanced already at that time?
Well, I do want to say I remember that, and I also remember getting suspended for that. They told me that I got suspended for inciting a riot, which I thought was insane. You know what I mean? But like it was just like, I think the part of me that's always been with me since I can remember is my passion for things that I have interest for. So like before I was rhyming, right? Like I would like take history books, especially in during times when, like, let's say my teacher was absent or something, and we had to split up among like other classrooms and just do work or whatever. I'd be in the back reading on history and like, yo, what happened on this day, and how did we get where we are, like from what was before me, right? And I'm talking about 4th grade. I was already like, my mindset was like that. And then I figured out at a very young age, like, okay, a lot of this is, you know, from the perspective of the victor, right? Of history, so to speak, or whoever's authoring. So it kind of expanded my mind a lot. I also had a lot of older cousins that you know, I grew up around, right? And I was a big observer of people, because you know, one of the things I pride in is trying not to make the same mistakes that I've seen other people make, like learn from others, because I can't do everything on this earth.
SoundMinds,
right?
That's fire.
But particularly my father was a musician, and my father you know, owned a record shop when I was a kid. So I had a lot of access to music very early on, and I was like diving into all types of genres. And even at this time, I wasn't a writer. I didn't consider myself like an artist, right? I was kind of just going into you know, the resources that I had available to me. It wasn't until one of my cousins, like, his car broke down, right? And one time, it was like 97 or something, I think, right? And I'm like, I'm a kid, so I'm like sitting in the car, and the battery kind of still on, so like, you know, the radio works. He had the cassette deck player, and he was like, yo, you know, just throw in this tape while I figure this out. And it was the first time I ever heard The Triumph by Wu-Tang. And you know, I don't know, that definitely changed my life from that moment on. Like, it was the very next day I was writing rhymes. The very next morning I was writing, and I didn't have no structure, so it was just like pages and pages. But I feel like I'm really like this. At first I thought it was like I'm an old soul, you know, that's just reincarnated into this space. But really, I think I have the perspective and the vision to be able to see that, like, it don't matter what era or what time and place something was created. When something is amazing, when something has quality and brings and adds value to your life, like, there's a reason why a dude is gonna pay $10 million for a Da Vinci painting, or, you know what I'm saying, or a Picasso. It's because, like, I throw that on my wall and I'm in that frequency. You know what I'm saying? When I take a look at that, I'm in the space and time that I need to be in order to, you know, manifest at the level that I would like to. And it takes a lot of experience to get to that understanding, right? And a lot of you know, insight or just
mental processing.
Correct. You know? And so I pride myself in the quality versus quantity, and Words alluded to before, right? Like, the 1 year anniversary past week for a champion sounds like it's not something that, like, nowadays you're like, okay, let's celebrate a 1 year anniversary, because things happening so quickly. But you know, it's definitely I appreciate platforms like this to be able to disseminate this type of information, because, like, it's not just like stroking ego or this or what have you. Like, we put in the type of love and effort and quality into the work that, you know, it don't matter if it's 20, 30 years from now, you're going to get some value from it. It's timeless. The conversations we're having, the production value, the you know, the effort in every line and in every instrument is very evident. And so going back to your point, I just think that I'm very lucky to have been one of those people whose third eye was open very early.
There you go.
And so I took advantage of that.
This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the SoundMinds Podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems.